You're going to record this?
So, pause. Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's presentation on Let's Collaborate, Strengthening School Councils Together. So I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ricardo Francis. I'm with the Parent Caregiver Community Engagement Office, and I also like to introduce Nancy.
Hi, sorry. I'm Nancy Angevine Sands. I'm a parent caregiver engagement consultant, and I am contracted with the Parent and Caregiver Engagement Office at the TDSB to help support school councils. We'll begin with the land acknowledgement. The land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and with the Williams Treaty and the Williams Treaties signed with the multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. I am just a quick reminder of meeting conduct and responsibilities, respect for all, professional conduct, privacy is paramount. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. And full compliance of all of these codes is expected. Any contravention of the Code Act will result in immediate termination of the Zoom meeting for that participant.
Okay, again, presentation on Let's Collaborate, Strengthening School Councils Together. Okay, so again, I know every presentation I do this, I provide you with a multi-year strategic plan, but this is the foundation of our work. So both as staff and school councils. Okay, so one of the things tonight is a little bit different because we would like a more feedback from parents. So we're going to be doing this by providing polls, and then we're going to speak about the results of those polls. So for the polls, I'd like people to quickly respond to them because that makes it very quick. So the poll will only be up for 2 minutes. Okay. So what we're saying today is your voice really matters to us. We want to celebrate what's working, but we also want to identify those areas and opportunities that we could work a little bit better on, and how we can better collaborate with our teachers and administration. So we'd like you to answer the Zoom polls honestly, and we also would like your honest feedback in the Q&A. We ask that you share your ideas and suggestions respectfully in the Q&A. And tonight we're focusing on solutions and positive contribution to our school communities.
Do you want me to do this one? Sorry, I'm sorry. Your responses from the poll are completely anonymous, and your answers will not be shared, connected to your name. During conversations and in the Q&A, no individual names or school names should be shared by the participants or us. So when you're asking a question, please don't mention your school name.
So now this is our first poll, and it'll be coming up in a moment. Please respond. There's only 2 minutes to respond on this one. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to open the floor to um, the Q&A and any questions in regards to the um, bylaws and what you'd like to see different in the bylaws.
Or if you have any questions about your bylaws, about amending them, if you don't have bylaws, about writing them, put those questions, any of those questions, anything that have to do with bylaws, put it in the Q&A at the bottom of the page. Okay, there's one question. Yes. Would you, um, Ricardo, I'm sorry, are
Oh,
they
she
able
wants
to
to.
turn on their mic
She
and
had the question. Yeah.
are they able to speak or
Just one moment. I think she's able to answer now. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
turn on your mic and speak? Is it easy to amend bylaws? Um, it's easy. Do you want me to answer that one, Ricardo?
Sure. Go ahead. Yep.
It's not difficult, but there is a process to follow. You always school councils and everything you do. We've said this in previous webinars. You want to be transparent and inclusive and accountable for all you do. So if there's some way that you want to amend your bylaws, then it should be discussed at a council meeting. I would suggest providing an opportunity to poll the parents and caregivers in your community and ask them what they think about the change. Then it would come back to the council, and the council would vote on accepting or rejecting the amendment. Once you do that, then it's done, and your bylaws have been amended. Says, and the other question says we don't have any bylaws at the secondary level. All right,
Well, she can answer live as well, if she wishes.
if the person who wrote that they don't have bylaws at the secondary level, if you want to turn on your mic and ask the question or say anything, please feel free to do so.
Okay.
I'll answer that while waiting. Every school council is required to have bylaws. They're required to have bylaws based on the provincial legislation, Regulation 612. So there is a template available through the parent caregiver community engagement office. You can use that if you'd like as a basis to decide what you would like to do, but you really should have bylaws. It gives think of bylaws as like the foundation of a house. If or a building. If a house or a building wasn't sitting on a foundation, if something happened, a flood or an earthquake or something, everything would come tumbling down. So the same is true of bylaws. That bylaws provide you a framework within which you may work. The one thing I want to say now, and that I should have said about the amending bylaws question is remember that whatever in the bylaws must occur every year until that bylaw is amended again. So be very careful what you put in bylaws. Um, Make sure that it's something that your council feels that successive councils over the next couple of years should follow.
Okay. Yeah, the other part of the question at the secondary level, and you have to follow the bylaws at the secondary level, but for the secondary level schools and the middle schools, I suggest that you because you can put things in the email, and that would be in terms of how to go about the process of reaching out to families and also how to continue that process. So in the bylaws, I would have a suggestion as to that the school council should reach out to the feeder schools to seek membership and advise them of the school council. So just to speak to those principals at your feeder schools, so they have that information ahead of time coming into your school. And and the other question is, how do school councils help make sure decisions are fair and organized? Well, your bylaws should be clear as to what the expectations are and how those things are to occur. And the other thing is that the school council chair is responsible to enforce those bylaws. Okay, that's fine.
Could I add something? I
Yeah,
would say that bylaws cannot all ensure that every decision is going to be fair, everything that the council does is going to be organized. It can't guarantee that. But what it can do um, is to guide successive councils on how they should operate, how many members, how many parent members they will have, how many meetings a year, if you want to stipulate how many meetings a year, what your executive will be comprised of, if there are any committees that must occur every single year. So it certainly helps with the organization of the council. Whether it makes the decisions the council makes fair is another question. But I think it provides an atmosphere in which everybody who is working there, both the council and any participants who are at the meeting, understand this is the framework within which we work, and therefore increases the chance of fairness and organization.
okay, we're going to move to the next slide. Okay, and we're doing a poll here as well. And I'm going to speed up the process because there's some of these slides that are really important that we want to give parents some opportunity to really share their feedback on this. So we'll just go back. So the next poll is
So I'll
coming
just
up.
read
And I'm
it while
just
you're
going to give you
bringing up
1
the
minute.
poll. How
Hmm?
familiar are you with Regulation 612 and what it requires of school councils? I'm very familiar. I've heard of it, but I'm not sure of the details. I'm not familiar at all. And what's that?
Okay. It's going to end the poll, and then we're just going. Oh, 1 second. Few more. And we'll move to the Q&A on this.
So any questions you have about Regulation 612, feel free to put them in the Q&A now.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to ask one additional question. Do you feel that the Q&A actually works for you? No, because the Q&A, the Regulation 612 actually works for you because it was drafted back in 2001, was it?
1996.
1996. Okay, so we have no questions on this, so we're just going to move on to the next slide. Oh, what is the regulation? Oh, please, can you answer that, Nancy?
Yeah. Regulation 612 was brought in 1996 by the government. It was in response to I forget the name of it right now. I've gone blank. A royal commission. Um, the government established a royal commission to look at education in Ontario, and as a result, they brought in Regulation 612 because one of the strongest recommendations of the royal commission was that parents and caregivers had to have a stronger voice in the education of their children. So so the government established school councils, and Regulation 612 gives the framework for how the councils should work, who should be members, what would voting look like, just a number of different issues. If you don't have Regulation 612 at your school, you can find it online, but as Ricardo goes forward, I will look it up and I will put it in the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah. So the other thing I just wish to speak to Regulation 612, it states that school councils are mandated for all schools. So that is where when we speak about school councils, that's where it's message that we must have a school council. That appears, yes, that appears to be the correct link. Yes. Okay, now we're just going to move to the next slide.
Yes.
Okay. So can you read that one for us,
Yes.
Nancy?
How would you describe the current state of your school council meetings? Well organized and productive, somewhat productive, but could be better, often unfocused, and um, I leave unsure of what was accomplished. So, how would you describe the current state of your council meetings?
Thirty seconds left. Okay, thank you. Okay, so one of the things I'd like to hear from is those people. I like to hear from both camps. Those who said that they're well organized, and those that feel that there is some concerns. And actually, what makes your school council that you feel that it's well organized and productive? What is it about those school councils? If you could put that in the Q&A, or if we don't have that, we can just speak to what sort of quality an uh, an effective school council has. And one of the biggest things we're going to speak to is communication. Um, and I'm just going to give you an example of something that happened the other day at a school for me. So there is two co-chairs, but there's one co-chair that is, they're being proactive. They're speaking to the principal. They're asking questions, trying to get things done. However, um, and however, at the same time, that information is not going back to the membership. So the membership feels like, oh, you know what, this person is doing things on the side and not informing us. But the reality is that wasn't their intention. It's just that in the school they have that time, so they have that opportunity to speak to that. But one of the key things is the communication between the school council membership. You have to be kind of on the same page. All should know what is being planned and what's being understood. And the other thing about that is that you really should also, as a school council, be reaching out to your school community. I'm just so those are some of the things that you can do. Um, the other thing is to actually document what you do. Keep that document as we spoke about in effective school council, but just maintain some documentation. That's why we encourage you to use the school council emails, because then you can go back as a new council member and see what was done, and all the communications that were shared. Nancy, do you wish to speak to this any further? Or?
No, I think that covered it. Can you put up the results?
Oh no, I already closed it out. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Hmm.
There
But
aren't any questions about, do any of you have any questions about how, if you're having troubles with the state of your school council or knowing what it is you should do, just put it in the Q&A.
okay, so this is our next poll.
How comfortable are you managing disagreements or conflicts within the school council? Very comfortable, somewhat comfortable, not comfortable. We don't really have a process.
Thirty seconds left. I'm just looking here that a lot and very comfortable with at 53% of respondents feel that they're very confident. 27% somewhat confident, and 13% not comfortable. So I'd like to hear from both sides. Those are very comfortable, and also those that what it is that makes it not comfortable for you, and what we could do as a whole to change these things. Thank you. Okay.
Here's a question. My concerned parent members have failed to attend meetings, and as a result, we cannot meet our requirement to meet quorum. So Regulation 612 does not allow for the removal of any member that's been elected or acclaimed. So there's not much as a council that you can do. You can't force them off or remove them off. But as the chair or vice chair, co-chair, should have a talk with those parent members who aren't coming out to any meetings. Ask them what is holding them back. Do they still wish to do the job? And if they don't wish to do the job, would they like to resign? If they choose, hopefully choose the resign option, then the council can vote to appoint members to fill those spots. You don't have to have another election. You can just appoint them. The process for that should be in the bylaws. So I hope that helps. Who
The
should
next question. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, who should set the agenda for the meeting? The chair and co-chair, or the chair working with their vice chair would set the agenda, but also you should consult with your principal. When I was a chair of councils, I always set up what I thought I'd like to do at a council meeting, and then I would meet with the principal and I would talk with them about what had I heard from the parent community? What had they heard from the teachers? Was there anything that each of us thought that should be on the agenda? And but the responsibility is the chairs.
I would say the responsibility is in the chairs in conjunction with the membership. so that you speak to your membership as to
Yeah.
yeah, what they're finding in the community, and so that you have your agenda reflects the needs of the community and that of your membership.
And also keeping in touch with your committees and making sure that they know that they should tell you if they have a report to make. The next question, what is the single biggest barrier to your school council being more effective? Is the barrier the lack of time? Is it limited information or transparency? Is it low parent caregiver engagement or unclear roles and expectations? I'm afraid you can only pick one.
So we have a lack of time at 18%, limited information or transparency at 17%, and low parent engagement at a whopping 54%. And we're going to speak to that right now. And there's also 8% that individuals are unclear as to the rules and expectations. So, is there anything in the Q&A on this, Nancy?
Um, wasn't
Oh, yeah.
Someone says, I think it's a mixture of all the options provided. I feel there's no training for parent council. That's what these are for. And hi, I'm just wondering, is the meeting will be recorded? Yes, it will be recorded, and it will be on the PCCEO YouTube channel.
Yes. Um, yeah,
We
so
can't
let's
mail it
speak.
out individually, no.
Yeah, let's speak to the question, which was a really
Yeah.
good question as to the training. So we do have the PCC YouTube channel that provides resources for school councils. Um, just recently, we posted a new the YouTube on effective school counsel. But one of the things too is that you also have on our website you have um, a lot of resources on the TDSB School Council website, but I also want you to familiarize yourself with the quick links that I've shared. And what I've tried to do is to get the school council handbooks, Regulation 612, bylaws, other resources, so that you can better understand what is involved in the school council and because it's concerning to me in terms of what are the roles and responsibilities, because those roles and responsibilities are outlined in your bylaws. We also have it on our webpage just to have a clear understanding as to how, like, for example, you have your executive, that could be two co-chairs, that could be a treasurer and a secretary, and then it speaks to what those roles are and what are those responsibilities. In terms of one of the things that was like your number one thing was the low parent engagement, and and this is always a problem everywhere in terms of volunteering. But one of the things I stress is first getting out and meeting those parents, especially the ones new to the school at the elementary level, and then speak about the school council and what sort of aspirations you have would like to see, and get feedback as to what they're looking at. I also because one of the last um, uh, presentation we did was on effective school council, and one of the things that parents had asked is, you know, we because we spoke a lot about surveys, and so what we've done is we've drafted 3 surveys, one for volunteers, one for school council membership, and one for school council interest in being a school council member. And what was there's another one, was there, Nancy?
The surveys,
Yeah.
one is for secondary school, one is for elementary school, and one is for volunteers.
So yes.
And
Yeah.
the
So
and for middle schools, you might want to do a combo of the elementary and secondary.
mhm. And so what we've designed it is a Google Doc that we can share with everyone, so you can modify it to your own needs. So that will be coming out shortly. We're just looking over it again, just making sure that we've caught, and just sharing with a couple of school council members to um, um, get their feedback on it.
If I could add, if you go in under the Q&A tab, if you go in under answered, at the bottom, you'll see the link to the PCO TDSB YouTube channel. There's a whole pile of training sessions there that date back a couple of years. You have to look for the ones that say school council. It'll say school council on it. Those are the training sessions. There's also a mixture of some sessions from past conferences that are also there. I want to say, so that's where the training sessions are. A number of people have said it would be nice to have the training before being elected and to have individual ones. I agree with you. Unfortunately, that's very difficult to do. The elections have to take place within the first 30 days of the school year. For us to get out to individual schools in the first 30 days is really hard. But it's also a little bit incumbent upon the previous council to let their community know what's expected. What does it mean to be a council member at that school? How many meetings a year would you have to count on attending? And what would you be expected to do at those meetings? So that's pretty straightforward. Also letting them know about the YouTube channel. So if they want more information, they could go and watch one or two of the webinars that are posted there. And as Ricardo said, and this is both for getting members and for getting attendance. I think at the last webinar, I quoted a researcher from the States who said that parents will engage when what you're asking, what you're offering them is meaningful and relevant to them. Too often, this isn't a criticism because I've done it myself, but too often at the council table, we offer things that we as council members think that we would like to see or we would like to know. We have to remember, if you're sitting at the council table, you're already engaged. You are an engaged parent or caregiver. The people who aren't sitting at the council table may want to be engaged, but they may not know how. They may not feel welcomed. They may have a whole pile of reasons why they aren't there. And so we have to, as council members, part of our job really, and it's in the regulations too, is to reach out and talk to our parent community and find out what they want to know, what would help them, what would support them. And are you as a council offering that, or have you as your council in the past seen your prime job as raising money? And if the
I,
parents feel that that's the prime thing, that is just as always asking for money, they may not be all that interested, but they may be interested in offering things that will help them support their child.
One of the suggestions is in-person meetings. I know during COVID we couldn't do that, but I'm just wondering because you've had prior experience that I have not had. Pre-COVID, what was your in-person meetings like when you had them? Were there any?
Yeah, I did for a number of years for the TDSB. I did in-person training sessions in the four quadrants. This is a big city, and what it meant, I'm from Scarborough, what it meant were that we were the biggest quadrant. That was a big travel for some people to get there. I rarely had more than 10 people at them. Some of them I had three or four. It doesn't mean that those people weren't interested and that they didn't deserve to have that training. Um, but it's difficult. The online stuff has been way more successful. I'm just looking. We are having members joining without being aware of what they're getting into. If previous council isn't up to date, the following members wouldn't be able to meet those standards as well. That's true. Sometimes we ask people to come and be council members and we don't tell them what it means. Um, there are ways. I think there's expectations of council. That information is available on the TDSB website under school councils. It's also the responsibilities is also available um, in 612. Um, and I guess it's just talking to people and telling them maybe what a good idea is having a pre-election meeting and inviting the community to come out. If even if your school has something that the school organizes as a welcome night for the parents, where all the parents coming in, come in and at that speak to what the council is and what it does and what the responsibilities are.
Yeah, and one of the things is those opportunities, like Welcome to Kidney, great opportunity to take advantage of that. I'd also ask that in the first communication that goes out from the school, that they advise them that you're that you have a school council, you're looking for membership. That because those are people tend to look at things when they're new to a school or at the beginning of the school more so than later on. And in the beginning because they're concerned because they're looking at like what changes are there going to possibly be classrooms. So you've got a more captive audience, and you can use your school council um, um, school council what's it called again? Messenger, school council messenger to uh, to share that information. Um, I see that somebody's saying that they can't log in. That please send me an email because you have to have a school council email address to log in, and once you have that school council email address, we can help you with that. So send me an email on that. I'm gonna have my information at the end, but definitely do so. Okay, next question. Do you see it, Nancy?
Yeah, sorry, I was getting a link for someone.
Okay,
Sorry
no
about
problem.
that. How supported do you feel by the school administration in carrying out your school council's goals and activities? Very supportive. Administration is actively engaged. Somewhat supported. Communication is good, but there are limits. Minimally supported. Administrative priorities sometimes override school council work. And I'm unsure. I'm a new member. Hmm.
Okay, there's 14 seconds left. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that for very supported, we have 67 percent, and for minimally and somewhat supported, we're at for oh, actually, the numbers change. Somewhat supported is at 27%, and minimally supported at 20%, and nothing for unsure new member.
Well,
Okay,
that's
so
really good news that the majority of people feel very supported.
yeah, yes, it is. And let's talk about well how what that support looks like, possibly, and what that support doesn't look should look like. So let's go to the Q&A and see if anybody has any questions around that or advice.
Ricardo, if I could just say, I'm sorry to kind of jump out of this topic for a minute. If you go into the answered section of the Q&A, you'll see a link to the school council handbook. It's also available on the TDSB website for school councils. And I'll speak to that later after we go through these questions. But I just want to say it was there.
I don't see any questions on this, so we'll just move forward.
May I speak to it for a minute?
Sure, go ahead.
I think I said this in a previous webinar that sometimes it's incumbent upon us as school council members to do the work to build the relationship between the school council and the principal, the administration, the teachers. Um, we're only volunteers. I know we've got lots of other things on our plate, but sometimes it's up to us to take the high road, to put the extra effort in it, to help the administration see what's in it for them, to collaborate with the school council, to help our teachers to understand what's in it with them, to collaborate with the school council. We know this in our personal life. Sometimes we have to do a lot of the heavy lifting in relationships and in building new friendships and new relationships, both in our personal lives and our working lives. And sometimes we have to do that. We have to do that here. But it's really good news to see that most of you feel very supportive.
One of the other things that, in terms of that, what you spoke to in terms of that relationship is how that relationship should look. And sometimes, you know, going in on the, once you've established your school council, the chair is going to speak to the principal. How would you like to move forward in terms of communicating? What do you prefer? Do you want us to come to the office? What sort of way would be best for us to communicate with you? And then then be very honest. Ask what is a reasonable expectation in terms of getting feedback on things. What sort of timeline should we expect from the beginning to ensure that this is something that you're comfortable with and it's reasonable in terms of how you're moving forward, and how are they going to support you in terms of the communications and that sort of thing. That would be helpful as well. I have a comment here. I feel administrators are receptive to council ideas because we echo the voice of children. Elementary level is different, but at the middle school, I feel principals are open to school council ideas because they know how important parent engagement is to student success. And yes, I totally agree with that comment. And it's so valued, and it's so funny that parent involvement actually tapers off after elementary school. The reality is I know you're hearing your children, because I have them as well, saying, you know what, we don't want you there and every, but the fact is they need you there. You have to be more involved at that time. This is the time, and then that you have in the middle school and in high school, that transition from middle school to elementary to high school, or that transition from high school to post-secondary is the most crucial times for your children. So your involvement is even more needed at that time. Nancy, do you want to speak to it as well?
No, I was smiling because I remember years ago, Kathleen Wynne, before she was premier, she was Minister of Education, and she used to go into her kids' high school, and she said she'd always put on a pair of sunglasses as she walked from the parking lot to the principal's office. And I remember when I was school council chair at my high school, my kids' high school, I would do the same thing if I had to go in during the day, put on a pair of sunglasses and go incognito. But I think the other thing I was going to say is it's an exceptionally difficult time for educators right now, both having come out of COVID and the repercussions that are continuing around that, the marked increase in states of well-being for our students, the questions and um, things that are going on with the provincial government looking at different aspects of education in Ontario. It's a really difficult time, and we need to feel supported, but our teachers need to feel supported too, and that's part of our work.
Just could add something, not the school council related, but because I worked and still do work a little in the mental health field with clients. One of the things that I stress is get to know your children's friends. Know where your children are going. Invite those individuals to your home so you know who they are. Because a lot of times that I've noticed when things go awry, it's because we don't know who our children are hanging around with, what they're doing. So and it's just a good way. Because I remember going to friends' houses and feeling, you know what, I better not do anything bad because if parents are not, they're welcoming to me. So you know what I mean. So anyway, we're going to move on to the next one. Um, okay.
What kind of follow-up would be most helpful to you after today? A summary of what was discussed, another session like this one, resources I can review on my own, or contacting the PCCEO.
Or you can put comments in the Q&A as to what you feel would be helpful. The whole idea of this presentation is for us to really get a clear understanding as to what the needs are of school councils and to tailor moving forward how we are going to approach training and resources. Okay, so we have a summary of what was discussed at 19%, which we can provide. Another session like this one, um, which I would look forward to, but I'm actually going to share with school councils as to what sort of content they like. So I'll be sending out a questionnaire on that. Um, So the resources that we could review on our own. So we have 19% at a summary, 25% at another session like this one, and 50% at resources that I can review on my own, and 6% at contacting the online, the PCCO office.
So a question came in, what is the SSON? The SSON is the school statement of needs. Every school council must complete it every fall. It is what would the parent caregiver community look for in a principal should your principal leave that year. It has to be done whether or not you know your principal will be leaving. And as we said in the last webinar when we talked about this, so look for it when it's online. You want to choose, I always suggest choosing maybe 3 to 5 items. You don't want to have a big long list of stuff. You want to pick the most important things for your school community in an administrator, so that then you do it on your own. Teachers and principals have no say in it, and then you send it to your superintendent, and that then is your door into connecting with the superintendent over who are they thinking of bringing into the school and how many of your identified needs have been answered. And also, what are 7 or 8 most important executive members for school council in a small high school? Well, I wouldn't have 7 or 8. First of all, I think one thing, Ricardo, I'm sure you agree that we have to make clear is elections choose school council members. You must have at least 5, at least 5. I suggest 10 as a minimum, just because that helps you. Someone said earlier that they weren't having quorum because council members weren't showing up. If you have 10 parent members, you can have 5 away and you can still get quorum.
No,
Those
4 away. 4
elected,
away.
yeah,
4 away could be up to 51%.
you have to have 51%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those elected parent members then vote for who their executive is. So who should you have on your executive? Regulation 612 speaks only to the need of a chair or co-chair. So you can have a chair and co-chair, or you can have a chair and vice chair. If you do fundraising, you would probably want to, well, whether you do fundraising or not, you want to have a treasurer and you would want to have a secretary. And I would say that was the bare minimum. You might, if you're trying to build your fan base, you might want to have an outreach committee, and maybe the chair of the outreach committee would be on the executive. Traditionally, the chairs of your committees are not members of your executive, but you could decide in your bylaws that that's what you wanted to do.
And because we're going to be moving into the Q&A, but one of the things that I'd like people to to answer, because I should have put this in the survey, is whether or not they're aware that we have at the TDSB a school council webpage that's dedicated solely to school councils. Because if not, that is something that we really got to work on, is communicating that we actually have this resource, and also that we also have the resource of the PCCEO YouTube, and we have a third resource called the TDSB Hub that also has resources for families. And because one of the things that I noticed over the years, like even like today, I sent out an email, just a reminder for everybody. This is not school council related, but it is for student achievement and success. Camps are right now. You can sign up for camps. So just go online and just Toronto camps, and you'll get a list, either YMCA or the Toronto camps. Now is the time and to sign up for summer and for the March break. But moving on.
If you go, sorry, Ricardo, if you go into the chat, into the Q&A and go into the answered sections, at the bottom is the link to the school council page on the TDSB website. And Ricardo, I think we should also mention that Toronto PIAC has
Yes.
a page of information and resources, and you would just Google Toronto PIAC, and I'll try to find that too.
Yeah. So, and the Toronto PIAC, and each ward has a PIAC representative, was elected, and what that individual does is support you in your school council. You can address concerns through them, bounce ideas off of them, and I'm just going to further speak to what the acronym means. PIAC is the Parent Involvement Advisory Committee. I was once a member. That's also a great opportunity for parents because they have a voice directly to our to the board. So they can write policies, they can speak on policies, so they're direct to the school board. So if you're looking to be an advocate for your school or your, well, not just your school but for your school community, your ward, that's an opportunity for you as well. Um,
So I put the link to both the TDSB page and the Toronto PIAC page in, you would find it under answered at the bottom of that.
Can you also put it in the chat too
It won't go in the chat. It doesn't go to everybody.
Okay, perfect. Okay, not a problem. Okay. Oh, I can change. Okay, doesn't matter. I just got one further poll before we move into the um Q&A. Okay. Yeah, just please go ahead and give your feedback there. And also, I'm looking also, if you have any questions, please also go to our website and provide any responses there as well. Okay, so the does everybody see the poll?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So now we're going to move into the Q&A. And what I'm asking for in the Q&A is that anything that we've got some time left, and it's just an opportunity for you to voice the whole idea of having this presentation was for you to be able to voice your opinions. And so it's completely open as to any questions you have. We were here to answer them for you.
And Ricardo, could I just add something? When I was answering the questions about training, about the need for training early on, and we were giving suggestions they could do, I completely understand how important that is. And I just want everyone to know that we've learned a lot this evening. And when we look at the polls, we're going to be learning even more. And so these are the things that you have said in your Q&A and in your polls will be taken to heart, and we will be looking at them and talking about and see how we can do better in our support for you guys, so that the rest of this year and next year is easier. is you feel the support, you know that there's support for you if you need it.
And one of the things too is people have mentioned what to do in terms of that membership, in increasing membership, and just what to do in terms of wrapping up school council. We are having a presentation on on succession planning. So there's an opportunity as a school council member. And one of the things I'm also going to ask as those chairs and members, seasoned chairs and members, please share your knowledge with those that are coming into your group. If in contact with other school councils, and this is something that I encourage is to get to connect with your school councils within your community, because again, when you're talking about trying to recruit people into your school, especially in the secondary level, imagine that you already had that contact with the elementary schools in your area, and have that opportunity to speak to them, and them being able to give you ideas as to what is working for them in their school community, because every community is different, and because of that uniqueness, we have to adapt to best meet their needs. Um, and the other advantage of um, secondary school is you have student council as well. Connect with your student councils, and also connect with the student council, but also encourage that and support us that they have a strong student council as well.
And this is sort of what you said, but somebody earlier on had made the suggestion in the Q&A that to go for middle schools and high schools to go to their feeder schools and
Mhm.
talk to their parents and their school councils about the importance of being involved in high school and middle school. A lot of times people think, oh, well, I won't have to do this once they get to high school. We have to tell them how it's even more important there.
Yeah, I'm just wondering too, as to uh, you know even at the elementary school level, what how could we really speak to what is key importance as to why a school council exists and what benefit it has? And I think that's what we can also speak to when we're going out there and speaking about that. Like an elevator speech as to the benefits of school council, and how it supports student achievement and well-being. Yeah. And the other thing too is for school. I'm just going because I just don't want to be rambling, but there's other you can have tea and talk. So you have those in the morning. You don't have to wait for a school council to be created, because the members are from the previous year uh, are still part of the school council until the new individuals come in. So you can have tea and talks. You can do things at lunch. You can go out in the um, schoolyard in the evening after school and say hello. And I'm not saying everybody can do this, because I get that some people are working, and that's not a possibility. But really, if you do have that opportunity, please to take advantage of those things.
One thing question somebody has stated is that next year, please don't forget about the struggles at secondary and middle school, and maybe that's something we should consider, is that a couple of webinars aimed just at what middle school and secondary school councils and the uniqueness to each of those. So thank you very much for that suggestion. It's important.
Actually, I'm going to. Actually, we could actually do something, because we already have our schedule for the year, but we could do something in between that we can record and post on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
So yeah, we could do that as well. Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
if there's no more questions, Ricardo, maybe we should let these fine hard workers go.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm just going to um, share our information. And oh, what did I do here? Oh, okay. Let me just go back. Okay. Do you see it, everyone?
Nope. No. But I put the links, I put the same links were in the, if they go to the answered section at the bottom of the page, they'll see both of those links.
Okay.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah. So there's our information. please take advantage of to contact us. And we try our best to get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. And thank everybody for joining us tonight. And good luck moving forward with your school councils. Nancy?
I just say be good to yourselves. Um, Celebrate the negative, it goes into our brain automatically without any work. Psychologists have found this. The positive, you have to work to remember the good. So celebrate the things that you have done well, the things that have been successful, even if they weren't totally successful, if they were a little bit successful, celebrate that. If you're struggling, think of one thing that you would like to accomplish between now and April and focus on that. And then one thing that you would like to accomplish between April and June and focus on that. You don't have to be everything to all people. Just do the best that you can. And thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.